I'm just enjoying you. Like, I feel like you're really nervous out there. You're like that kid backstage. It's like Neil's like, will I
I
remember
heard,
my
yeah,
line?
I heard
Yeah.
there's a scout in the audience today.
Oh, really?
That, yeah,
That's good. Like, is
yeah.
it from Abrams? Oh, wait, they're gone. Are they closed? Are we going to
Oh no, I
Hollywood?
meant from the Mets.
Oh, sports. I
Yeah.
was
I thought this
thinking.
was a baseball game
I thought it
show.
was a commercial agent. It's so weird. I just was watching a thing, and the truth about us is we have like the entertainment world insight. So sometimes we could say words that you might think of as minor league baseball, and I'm thinking this kid could sell some sweaters. Let's get him in a modeling gig.
He's the world's greatest love.
We're just talking
Can
about
I
that
tell
the
you,
other
I
day.
love minor league baseball,
Really?
because the stakes are just so much lower. Um,
Yeah.
Ticket price about the same, you know,
Yeah.
uh, maybe a little bit less. Have you ever been to the Brooklyn Cyclones game at
Not been to a Cyclones game. I have been to a minor league game. And how on topic, Neil, because I was just in Scottsdale, Arizona, where I watched spring training. How
but
about
like
that?
the minor league spring training or the major
No,
leagues?
that would be really weird. No, this is the majors. I saw the Diamondbacks play the LA Angels. Never gonna get used to that. Yeah. My father-in-law, huge baseball guy, so this new era of family vacation going to Scottsdale, Arizona in the spring is twofold. You get a Palm Springs style house vacation that we all pile into, and then we catch some minor league games. Or not minor league. You put that in my head. Spring training games,
Be cool
professional
if it was.
MLB. Oh yeah, I mean, look, I've been to the minor league. I like baseball is just nice because it's a low stakes sport event to watch compared to basketball
There
or
was a guy
football.
I remember in college. There was a guy a couple of years older than me who was on the baseball team at Tufts, Division 3 in
Oh,
the NESCAC, the Northeast Conference of something something.
okay,
And he was a baseball player named Randy something, and everybody kind
right.
of knew him on campus. And I remember it was a big deal because after graduation, he went to the minors.
Oh
And
wow,
you're 20 years old. You're, hey, Randy, I gotta look up. I don't remember his name. He's playing for the minors, and you think, wow, he's like a professional baseball player, like traveling the country. And then you get a little older, and you learn it's kind of it's like a tough life. It's like the wrestler. It's like Mickey Rourke.
hmm
You're just on a bus with a bunch of other guys for however many months, and then you got to go do a day job to pay some rent, and then get back on the bus. Like it's kind of it's a
yeah.
slog.
What is the rate? Like, what do you get in the
It's
minors?
not. I don't think it's great. Let's see the old Google machine. What
That's
do minor
shattering. Because,
league
like, that's a lot. Because you
baseball?
have to train like it is your full time job. At least you
Okay.
want to. It's
Minor
not.
league baseball players' salaries vary greatly, depending on their
Mm.
level and experience. Duh. But the minimum salaries have increased significantly, with rookie league players earning at least $19,800 annually, and
Yeah.
salaries rising to $35,800 for AAA players. So,
Yeah, that's not a lot.
uh,
You're not
but
living large.
getting to do what you love.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it depends on where you live. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to tell you right now, 35K in Austin, you're barely, forget New York City, you know?
But that's
Like,
just during the season. Then maybe you're doing I don't know, construction the rest of the year, to make up for it.
well, then the other thing too is you're always in fear of getting cut. This actually reminds me of certainly my original tenure in Cooking Channel, like pilot to season one. Not that's it's a modest fee at the beginning that
What
then
was your day
incrementally
job? What was
rose.
your day job in the off season?
It's crazy. It's why I'm a reckless moron. When I moved here, I didn't have a job. I was like, okay, cool, let's just try this. I did the pilot, and actually I was pretty lucky because I was able to get the season order pretty quickly, but it wasn't like a ton of money. We were living lean, to be blunt. And then it was probably in between season one and season two, which I didn't know was happening. That was like, I think I was too enamored and naive or whatever to think that it wasn't going to happen. But I don't know. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But I started to do food tours in Austin. But then the funny thing is like the moment I started to do the food tours is the moment the show started to get picked up all the time. And then like I would still do the tours when I was around. And then looking back in the situation I'm in now, it's like, what could have been a better use of my time than, you know what I mean? It's weird. It's like, I kind of approach it like, kind of like an actor. It's like, oh yeah, still bartending here and there. You know what I mean? Or still waiting tables here and there. And then you're like, And then what was the weird wake up sign was when I would tell people what I was doing too. And they're like, oh, so do you own this company? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't.
Maybe you should have.
Well, this is the funny thing is, big plug. So in the last couple years, I was asked to do a celebrity food tour as an auction item for a fundraising event. And over the course of 3 years, over several different fundraisers, it's like raised $65,000. And that's when I'm like, maybe I need to rethink. Yeah.
People paid thousands of dollars for you to lead them on a food tour?
Yes. Yeah, at one point I had the guy, he's on Shark Tank actually. I don't want to get into his name and reveal too many things.
We're not going to out Mark Cuban. We're not
No,
going
it
to tell
wasn't
everyone
Cuban.
that Mark Cuban
It wasn't
paid
Cuban.
$40,000. We're not going to tell anyone that.
Yeah,
That Mark
no.
Cuban paid that amount of money
No,
for
but
you to
there was a
put
guy
food
in Shark Tank. He's a very successful person, incredibly kind guy, very nice. And yeah, I took him on a food tour, and he.
We're not going to tell everyone that Kevin O'Leary is actually very nice.
Yeah, it's not
He's
Kevin O'Leary.
actually so nice in person. You may think not a nice
Yeah.
guy, but actually spent $55,000 for Ollie to take him for some tacos and late night pizza. We're not going to tell
To
everyone
be
that.
fair, full disclosure, it was look that's collected over 3 years, that figure. So like, look, what's funny is the tour's not that insane. Like it's basically like $250 a person for like a private food tour. It includes transportation, food, and beverage, which isn't that crazy, compared to what I did. I just happened to, I figured it
Can
all
I tell
out.
you my gripe with food tours?
Yeah,
And why
let's
I don't
go.
enjoy doing
Oh,
that. I mean, perhaps
you
if
might
you
like
need 20
one.
grand and you want to take me on one for your son's school, I would love to.
Yeah, yeah,
But no, my thing is, because everyone's always like, pizza tours were like the big thing for a minute. I'm going to go
yeah,
on a pizza tour. So what? You get one slice here, you get another slice somewhere else. I'm kind of full. And then,
yeah.
all right, well, I paid for it. I'm going to have the third slice. Now I feel terrible about myself.
Yes.
What? Now I have to go have a fourth slice and a fifth slice? I
Yeah.
mean, this is ridiculous. Is there a strategy where maybe you're just like, maybe Dave Portnoy has it right? You just take the one bite. It's too much pizza. So,
Yeah.
yes, I understand the appeal from an amortization standpoint, from a just stomach space.
Yeah.
I am not down with the pizza tour.
Yeah. No, I mean, I literally have built my tour where it's like you kind of have a crescendo of full. And initially I remember when I was doing it as a job, they had a motto. Oh, look, what's so funny is I have the koozie from the place. This was their motto. This was their motto, stuff your face. And they would kill you with kindness. And, it basically became a joke like, oh, guys, you're going to be real full. And to be blunt, a lot of these tours would work with like the corporate sales team, and they're like chugging beers on the party bus, and they're stoked because instead of being at work on a Tuesday at 2 in the afternoon, they're hanging out with some guy who says he's on Cooking Channel. Okay. And, the thing with Austin that is kind of perfect is that. Barbecue, and it's in my tour too, although the way I serve it's really smart. I think, because what happens is you can go get a bunch of barbecue and it seems like a great idea, this big platter. But much like pizza, you're like, and I'm instantly full. Like, so I actually take people to a place called Mum, which is a Jewish delicatessen meets Texas barbecue place. So they do a little like small serving, almost like a little shot of a fantastic matzo ball soup. A really fantastic matzo ball soup. I mean, I would just.
My language.
Oh, dude, I had, and as a compliment, a person on the tour said, I make my own matzo ball soup, but for the high holidays, I'm going to come here and buy this. She was that impressed. So look, it's just a really quality matzo ball soup. I know
What's
people
what's the name of the place? Can we
Mum,
name drop?
Mum Foods. Yeah, they're awesome. They were, I think, Michelin got recognized them. What he kind of did was for like a decade he spent going to the farmers market, and he would pastrami brine briskets. So he makes pastrami, but the cut is brisket. It is awesome. He makes his own bread, so he makes the best pastrami sandwich I've ever had. Like, it blows away a Katz, because Katz's bread is frankly not the point. Katz is just, it's great pastrami, right? It's a huge amount. This is like truly melts in your mouth. They make their own bread. I mean, they're just addressing elements, and I'm sure there's other places now. I mean, I lived in LA for 20 years, so I definitely hit up a few Jewish delis in my day. I would do that. I've talked to people, and I'm like, I love that kreplach. And they're like, and I'm like,
I just saw a pull quote. I think it's old, from an old interview, that Michael J. Fox said, I wanted to marry a Jewish woman because I love going to the deli on a Sunday morning. That's it. That was the criteria.
I'd rather do a deli tour, but just like a pizza tour, you have to be smart about the portions, and that's what I was getting back with my food tours. I'm pretty smart about the portions.
But with a deli tour, can you bring a box? Because if you can bring a box,
we would do a box. Are you kidding? I would. So see, part of my problem is when I would do these tours, I spent more of the work to me, because I got no problems flapping my gums talking about food. I can do that like asleep, definitely hungover. More importantly, though, I hated throwing away the food. So I would box this stuff up. And eventually I was like, this is dumb. This is a waste of food. This isn't really, like, it's like, hey, ha, 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 you're getting your money's worth. It's like, let's just stop for a second. Let's just make sure you have a good meal, whatever. So, like, I don't know. I kind of do a nice, like, it kind of crescendos into the barbecue. Then we have a bev, and then we bring it back down with more food and a sweet. And it's all kind of like more low-key places, mostly in my neighborhood. They're all pretty close together, which is how it works as a tour, because, you don't want to be sitting around forever. I was watching some video about Josh Wiseman having a dinner that took 7 hours, and it's like, even I'd be like, dude, 7 hours I don't know if I want to, like, fly across the world. I mean, that's, I don't know. Unless I was listening to...
There's got to be a couple intermissions, I would guess. Yeah. Go outside, take a phone call. I mean, this is...
Unless you've got World's Greatest Dad Pod downloadable, check your RSS feed. It's just, there's no point. There's no point.
Yeah, no, it's a great show. Ollie, I've got a, before we get to like the fan questions.
Why we're here.
I've got one for you.
Yes.
I have kids, and
you've got kids.
That's kind of why we're doing this.
They're growing up.
I'm gonna run it by you because it's like too small of a question for my dad friends IRL, and it's not like quite big enough to be like a weighty, like, I'm not gonna write into like the New York Times, so I'll just ask you, because you know some things. All right, so
right in between. I'm right in between your friend and the New York Times.
Great place to be. Yeah. So Zeke is 4.5, and the kids have seen a good amount of movies now. They're very into Captain Underpants, not a movie, a TV show which they watch, not on a TV, on a tablet. Yeah. But we've seen like the Buzz Lightyear movie, Harold and the Purple Crayon, Lyle Lyle Crocodile. What we've seen, Migration, Paddington, like the things that are adapted from books that are just safe and fun, and they spent $100 million. So my son comes home the other day and he's like, I want to see Captain America. 4.5. Luca, it loves Captain America. And, it was like this thing of like, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, yeah, when you're older. But he keeps asking me about it. And I think it would be a very fun thing to bond over. He does have the action figures. Um, it's PG-13. He is 4.5. I think back to the movies I watched when I was very young, and certainly above my recommended age. It was the 90s, different time. The 90s were crazy. I don't know if you remember the 90s.
Oh, I
There's
remember. I
You
remember.
remember the 90s? You remember the 90s?
What I'm really thinking about is you riding wild in the '90s. This is the thing. We went through trauma. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, like, ultimately, what we just have to just let it out is that your trauma should not be repeated. My trauma should not be repeated.
But
I
was it
remember.
trauma? What? Because so like for instance, you know, Ace Ventura was formative for me.
Fair
Uh,
enough.
Formative.
Fair enough.
Um,
Good one.
to the
Good
point where
choice.
there's like home video of me, you know, quoting the film at like 7 years old.
Mm.
Um, and again, definitely too adult for me. It wasn't until years later. Do you remember the film? The One of
Yeah.
the classics, Ace Ventura,
We were
Pet
just
Detective.
talking about enjoying some of that body of work with my
Yeah.
son now. We were literally like,
Ah.
oh, I think you're going to
So
like
so
this.
have
Yeah.
you has he seen the Pet Dick?
No, he. Spot on. Spot on there. I see where you're going with this entire line of questioning. Yes. No, so we were literally just talking about it. Because, he's at an age where, he's spent a lot of time in, like, like, you take him to the YMCA and they'd have these cool, like, oh, we'll watch your kids for a couple hours kind of deals. And summer camps, and it's like, and that's how they watch a bunch of movies that you weren't aware of, so it's really funny when I'm like bringing up something. He goes, oh wait, I think I've seen that. I'm like, when did you see this? And I will tell you too, he is 4.5. Yeah. Keep an eye when he's like 7, 8, because literally something I think about is that's when he will just march down the stairs and just Netflix and chill. And all of a sudden you're like, when did you see all of this stuff? And they'll say, on my free time. And basically when I'm like not paying attention or sleeping in on a Sunday or whatever, he's just downstairs like crushing. It's
What's the craziest thing you discovered that he watched?
I think probably the most influential thing he discovered that I got sucked into, and it's probably one of my goat shows, period. Period. And I actually love shows more than movies. I love the story arc. But it's an anime called Attack on Titan. Like, I got so into that, I superseded his watch. I started to watch it on my own and finished it. And at one point I was like, how can you not finish it? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? So yeah, that's crazy. But I will look, okay. So don't repeat your trauma. I know you saw Ace Ventura. I saw Nightmare on Elm Street when I was like 5 or 6 or whatever, because I was hanging out in our friend's basement unsupervised, and that was a real scarring one. Also saw Raw the same night, kind of amazing too. And I get the willies about horror movies and roller coasters, but I'll say this: if you're gonna do Captain America, don't go to the theater. The theater is extreme. And also, like, yeah, the theater can be that way. You can kind of do it in a controlled environment. It's less loud, it's less intense. You didn't have to spend the money on a ticket, because there's no refunds if he gets scared, And so,
Hmm.
yeah, I would say A, do it at home. B, I would just, have the check-in chat. Don't be afraid to hit the pause button. I will tell you, and he was probably 8 at the time, but this is like 2018 peak. We're peaking into the Marvel verse, right? We're like,
Sure.
when's Avengers gonna end? Before it just became like, okay, too much, I'm over it. And I was like, we're gonna watch Black Panther. My buddy Sterling K. Brown's in the movie. I'm like, yeah, let's watch this. I'll never forget in that opening kind of battle scene where he's fighting Michael B. Jordan and he gets jacked up and tossed over. And again, my son's like 8 or 9 or 8. It didn't go well. He cried. It was too much, and he was upset. And I
Yeah.
remember he said
And
this, Neil, remember these words. You're my daddy. You're supposed to protect me. So, always have your check-ins, have the remote there, and just say, hey, if this is too much, we can. Because, it's just,
yeah,
we don't want to
I'll
repeat
say,
trauma.
all kids are different, and
Yes.
one fear might be for me that he won't be afraid. My
Mm,
son is kind of, um, fearless to the point of it's concerning.
mm,
Like those people who like don't can't feel pain or like it's dangerous because you can touch a hot stove and just
yeah.
keep your hand there. You gotta feel pain. Feeling pain is good. Being
Yes.
afraid is good. I
Yes.
am very afraid of everything. So the fact that my son is not afraid of pretty much anything,
Hmm.
it makes me question paternity a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's another, we'll get to
Yeah.
that later.
Yeah.
So we did watch Lion King animated, the classic. Um, just me and him a while
Broderick.
back.
Matthew Broderick
And
doing his Hamlet. Yeah. That was
he's
Matthew
not in
Broderick.
that.
He was the voice.
No.
Lion King?
What? You kidding
Yeah.
me?
And then and then it was James Earl Jones was his dad, and Jeremy Irons was the evil uncle.
Wow. All right.
See, when you were in high school, like I was, sucking up issues of Entertainment Weekly, you knew all the nitty gritty
I knew it
details.
was. Listen, I could tell you Jonathan Taylor Thomas was Little Simba. All right. I could tell you. Yes, of course, James Earl Jones was Mufasa. Of course, Whoopi was one of the hyenas. Of course, I had
Mm,
no idea. This is literally you're breaking news to me. 30 years later.
it's what I'm
This
here
is
for.
31-year-old news. I did not know Matthew Broderick voiced it. All right, so we're watching Lion King, right?
Hmm.
And I see that the part is going to happen where Dad's going to, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, let's just fast forward a little bit. What's going on? We finish it. He's
You
enjoying it.
jumped the
Whatever.
gun. You jumped the gun?
I
You
didn't. I mean, he's, I'm watching with my 4-year-old son, and I'm,
you jumped the
father
gun.
son. I don't want to have him to watch a father get murdered. But so, what I learned is, so it came up later with my wife and my daughter. We were all talking about it, and Shira's like, did he see the, and I was like, oh no, I fast forwarded that part. And he's like, what part? And and then my daughter was like, because he's like, what happened to the dad? And I was like, oh, he's like, how did he die? And then we kind of like gently were like, well, unfortunately, he fell off the mountain. He's like, I want to see that. I want to watch that part. Yeah, I want to see that. Like nothing phases him.
Got it.
Like he'll say, like my wife would be like playing a word game on her phone and be like, "Are you gonna play that game when you're dead? When you're a skeleton, you think you'll still play that game? When you're just a bag of bones and you're a skeleton, will you still play a phone game?" Like he's not afraid. He's not afraid of anything.
Mm. I now want to hang out with him. I think this is
Yeah.
awesome. Look,
Okay.
well, good news. Sounds like you should be watching Captain America. By the way, Captain America, I gotta say, when I first saw that movie streaming, I was like, oh, well, I'll just give this a shot. Wasn't hugely invested, whatever. I remember finishing the movie. Remember what I lived in a loft at the time. I'm walking down the hallway, knock on my neighbor's door. She has a kid too, my same age. I don't know. I was like, hey, Donnie, have you seen Captain America? It's a good movie. Like I had to have a moment. It's a solid movie. I feel like it's a little sad, but not devastatingly sad. It doesn't start mid-story and it's just kind of nice and complete. It's a good standalone. Give it a whirl. Sounds like this kid is built tough, and there's a lot crazier stuff out there, I don't know. If I were you, I would not be I wouldn't ride the brakes so much a little bit because I think what's gonna happen is he's gonna be like, oh, what'd you do this time, Dad? You skip over the good part. Let me see the scene. You're like, he might be ready for a little John Wick, you know? If anything, yeah, maybe, just show him the scene where he's like, son, it's not what you did that angers me so. It's who you did it to. I think he's built for that. He's like, why can't you be like that, Dad? Oh man. Yeah, it's crazy. I have high hopes for your son. Because believe me, when I had my son as an infant, and I'm like sitting there going, "Oh, I can't go out. Well, I'll just watch Apocalypse Now, Godfather." I'm like, "Oh, here we go." Now we're at a place where he can watch some, he can watch some stuff because that anime stuff. Oh, if I were you, knowing your kid, and keep an eye on the anime button because that stuff is pretty grim. There's some things there where I'm just like, I'm never gonna be the same again. I don't know. There's something about that continent. I've seen some movies from Japan and Korea that are just like ultra violent. Oh, he's ahead of me on Squid Game. If you want to check in on where we're at, yeah, intense stuff. Yeah, looks like your kid's gonna see Captain America possibly in the theater. Oh wait, that's impossible.
He's a real patriot.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. Good for him.
All right, let's move on. Enough movie chat. Let's get
Okay.
into some hard news. This is a segment I'm calling Mice to Dads. Um,
Yeah.
do you remember recently our leader was talking about transgender mice or something? Um,
Jesus, how
I
did I
don't
miss
know
that?
if this is
Okay.
I don't know if this is what he was referring to, but he's a real busy guy, a lot going on up there upstairs.
Definitely.
So who knows
Yeah.
whatever he's talking about at any given time. But there's this news article about dad. We're always scouring the news for
Yeah.
father updates, stuff about dads. All right, mice with two dads have been created using this technology called CRISPR. So
Whoa.
there was this breakthrough in genetic research where these scientists in China successfully created mice with two biological fathers using this technology called CRISPR gene editing.
Whoa.
And so, as you may know, Ali, and I'm going to give you a little biology lesson, normally genes come from both a mother and a father
Right.
in order to, it's kind of a requirement for a healthy development of a living thing,
Yeah.
not tree, but, 'cause those
Yeah.
are but like, like an animal or a human being.
Yeah.
So, they regulate gene expression. I don't know. I was an English major, but this is what I remember. So they've tried this many times. Earlier attempts to create they're called bipaternal mice. They all failed. But CRISPR, they finally succeeded. They were able to knock out key imprinted genes, allowing for embryo development. And these mice, they lived to adulthood.
Mm.
I do want to just caveat, you're like, how does this happen? They do implant the embryo into a female
That was what I
surrogate now.
assumed they had to.
So it's like,
We did a surrogate still.
but it's
Got
kind of, I mean, like imagine, the implications for this that like you're maybe a gay couple,
it. Hmm.
two men or two women. I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
think they've done bimaternal mice yet.
Hmm.
But yeah, and you're like, hey, we found a surrogate, but we both want to have some kind of genetic tie to our child. So anyway, China's making these breakthroughs. It's still not legal, or some people say ethical, to extend this practice to humans. But that's your dad news right now, and so I just kind of want your initial take, and then I've got some follow-up questions.
Man, that is heavy and deep. And it's funny because part of me can say like, well, look, I know people, we have friends who, would, I don't know if they would want to do something like that, but when you have, a gay male couple, you're like, oh, yeah, I mean, maybe I could hypothetically see how they would be like, oh, this is cool and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, it's so, I mean, I'm still blown away by Waymo. Okay. You know what I mean? Deadly serious. Deadly serious. Like, the world we are in, it really fits the title 2025. Okay. This is 2025 stuff. Yeah, it's like science fiction is now. And I just gotta say, like, at some point you kind of have to digest it. I think it's okay to kind of go, it's weird. Like, I don't mean to, like, make it sound like someone shouldn't do something that's not going to, enrich their lives. For good people to do something and have a family. That's really good. But the power of that and, like, just, I mean, I don't know. I've never even asked myself, like, here's my big question. What would it be like? And this is just, we're imagining here, we're hypothesizing. But what is it like for the surrogate who carries a child that doesn't have anything to do with them genetically, but isn't there a tie? Like, what is that? Like, what
Well,
is
but I mean,
that
but
role?
that's already surrogacy, right? It's just that it's typically male chromosome and female. Again, I'm not a
Yeah,
science person, but
right.
so
Right.
what's the difference? They're
Well,
kind of just
that's the thing.
carrying for you,
I'm
right?
now I'm just kind of thinking about that, to be blunt. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know, you know, what's weird is I guess I don't. I kind of knew. We had a friend who, like, literally because of social media, one day it's like, whoa, whoa, you had a baby, like you've given birth, but you're like, one was the whole, typically in social media, you're like, big news, or here's the bump, I'm getting bigger. Yeah, this is my body now. You know what I mean? There was none of that. And I think what happened, we surmised, was like, it's like a surrogate thing. And, it just wasn't even like, kind of like, it's just not been put in front of me. It's like, hey, check out this experience or whatever. So, kind of thinking about it all now, to be honest. It's weird. It's a weird, crazy world. But, if people want to do that, I guess part of me do is like, I don't know. It's hard. How do you tell someone, how should they have their family? You know what I mean? If they want to have a family and they want to do something and it's not hurting anyone and everyone's a willing participant in it, then so be it. You know what I mean? Who am I to
Yeah.
get in the way of
Well, look,
that?
I mean, these are all hypotheticals, right? Because
Yeah.
it's not scientifically possible yet for
Yeah,
humans.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
possibly not legal or ethical. Again, these are things that will play out over the next probably several decades or more. But since we are talking in hypotheticals, um, if you were going to have another kid
hmm
and combine your DNA with another dad, uh, who's it going to be?
This is so weird. I mean, now I feel like we're getting into the origin story of Serpentor from the G.I. Joe cartoon series when they decided to create the new leader of Cobra. I could see the look. You're like, what's he talking about? G.I. Joe.
I'm vaguely familiar with the series, but yeah.
So, okay, well, basically, you know, the situation was Cobra was just always falling short to G.I. Joe. Whenever they'd hatch, at times, a really good plan, G.I. Joe would just finish the battle. And at one point, you have to say, something's wrong with top management. We need a change. We got to pull this coach. So they did. And they were like, well, how do we, should we use LinkedIn to find the new leader of Cobra? And they turned to science, which I think, even though, Neil, you weren't a science major, you're in awe of its power. So you would have been like, absolutely. And they took the genetics of like Alexander the Great, Attila the Hun, Kubla the Khan, whoever. You know what I mean? Like Lucille Ball. I mean, people that were just had great runs in life, you know?
This way, the new Cobra could crack some jokes as well.
Yeah, totally. And also just survive the transition from black and white to color TV. I mean, that's talk about. I wish I could have survived the transition from cable to streaming. So I look at Lucille Ball and I go, what does she have that I don't have? So maybe I need to merge with Lucille Ball. But you said a fellow dad. But yeah, this is kind of crazy. It's like I almost feel like sometimes it's like, can't we just let the magic of the randomness of the universe just kind of deliver this? You know what I mean? How much do we have to like turn our species into the next Labradoodle or Golden Doodle? You know? I mean, and I
But they're
understand
so
people.
adorable.
And really, to be fair, there's always, I always find a good kernel of truth and light in everything. Almost everything. Let's not go into the people that kill people. That's hard to find the light there. But certainly with the Labradoodle, the hypoallergenic thing, because we have a dog and my kid's allergic to a dog. So as much as I kind of look at the Labradoodle and I'm like, did you really need a Labradoodle? Oh, look at you. You got a GMO dog. Remember when GMO was a bad thing? You're like, don't eat that chip, but we'll GMO everything else. My kid. My dog. But not milk. How about that? How about them apples? You know? Remember that anti-GMO thing? Crazy.
Are we pro-GMO now?
I think it seems like it.
Huh.
Listen, I don't know. I don't have all. These are some big, deep, heavy questions. But
You
it's
know
kind
who
of
might know?
who? RFK? If he can ever clear his throat. I just can't
Mark,
get over
I was going to say Mark Bittman. But yeah, maybe.
Mark Bittman. I mean, not to get too off track, but I'm like, I actually quite like Mark Bittman's work a bit, but lately when I hear his podcast, I'm like, he feels like he's on that in the era of get off my lawn, like he's kind of getting out there. He's out there, he's making some statements. I think he's
ready
making
to
some
see him
waves.
like with an empty chair up at the RNC.
Yeah,
Like,
get off my
yeah.
lawn. Yeah, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. All right, well, that's not really an answer. You didn't really tell me who you combine your DNA with, but I'll let it slide.
Hold on. Do I really have to? And it's got to be
Danny
with like another
DeVito,
guy.
perhaps. Nicolas Cage, Tom Brady, Ryan Reynolds. I don't know.
God, I don't know. And I only get
Right,
one
you think
answer,
about it.
right?
You think about
Reynolds? Yeah, we'll come back to it. It's kind of weird, I'm like, is it weird that I'm happy with my imperfections? I don't know. What am I? You know what? It's got to be something like a Tom Brady. Someone with someone with good knees, because I don't have the best knees. I found that out. So I guess we can go with Tom Brady for now. I'd like to do a little research to find out who in human history has great knees, because let's just address my flaws.
Human history. I didn't say you could pick a cadaver. This isn't like Dead or Alive. I mean,
but they did that for Serpentor. They just got
that was a cartoon, Ollie.
I mean, it's 2025, Neil.
This is science.
Yeah,
this
but
is
it's
real life.
Science in 2025 is more than licking the 9-volt and going, "Oh wow, it tingles." Okay, we've moved on. And you know what? You're asking me which person I'm sorry, your menu's a little short. You're giving me the happy hour, and I want to see the dinner menu. So there. Okay.
All right. Well, we don't serve dinner until 7, so come back.
Christ.
All right. Let's get some questions.
Okay.
Grant from Cheyenne, Wyoming writes, Ollie, my wife and I finally had a night out after months of parenting exhaustion. We had a blast. Great food, drinks, and we actually talked about something other than our kid. But when we got home, our babysitter told us that our son cried himself to sleep calling for us. Now I feel horrible. Are date nights actually worth it if they just make you feel like a terrible parent? How do you deal with the guilt of taking time for your marriage? Thanks.
You know what? This too shall pass, and you'll get used to it. Yeah, you just got to keep doing it. Keep doing it. Like, whatever you think. I think what the hard part is, you are literally needing that night of relief because things are so intense right now, but they won't stay intense. And it's very important that, you and your partner are just, in a good place, because you're going through the thick of it. And in these intense times, you need all the rest and sleep and all that you can. So, yeah, man, you know what? This too shall pass. It's like the kid that's screaming on the plane. That definitely gave me the appreciation. I crossed a threshold of true adulthood. Before I had a kid, definitely when I was like, not married, I'd be on the plane with the screaming baby being like, please God, kill me. In fact, kill everyone. Kill everything on the planet right now. Now I'm like, that's cool. I will take it. Let me take it. Kind of like Michael Clark Duncan in The Green Mile. And he's like, I'm going to say it without hopefully not offending anyone. Let me take it, boss. Let me take it. He takes the pain or whatever that's hurting the person. He absorbs it. That's how I am. On the plane, screaming, couple more. And I'm like, yeah, let me take it. I'll take it. It'll happen. Pay the sitter. She'll take it. You come back, you'll take it too. 6 months, a year from now, it'll be fine. You'll be used to your child crying themselves to sleep. Or your child will be like, hey, Maybe I'll start watching all this anime on Netflix. Click, 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 click. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. I'm kind of curious to know what the dining scene is in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I imagine there's a lot of game. Buffalo steaks.
Should we look it up?
I wouldn't mind. Did an episode in Wyoming. Went to 40 states. If I had gone to all 50, that would have been nuts. I wonder what it would have been like
Well,
to go
they
to
say that
Dakotas.
Sanford's is the best around, all around food.
Maybe that's
Sanford.
what they want.
I don't know.
Sanford's.
That's according to Reddit.
Okay. Well,
All right, so
that's
Sanford,
unfiltered.
you heard it here first, folks.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the plane, the screaming on the plane. We've been doing okay with that, but I do have I don't know if I ever told you this story. Cece, our 7-year-old, was very young. It was maybe our first flight with her, certainly one of our earliest. And she was doing okay, but we, 2 parents, 1 kid, and there was this couple a few rows ahead of us. And they were like beautiful, like him and her, like maybe, they were like ahead of us, maybe we wouldn't have overlapped in high school. Maybe they were like 4 years older than us,
Okay.
but like in our peer group, but a little bit more senior. And they just had it together, like he was wearing some kind of sweater over it, probably like a vest, from whatever investment firm he's a partner at, and she was, very well put together, perhaps has her own jewelry line or is an author. I don't know.
Yeah.
And they had 3 children, and we knew that they were from Westchester because they kept saying, well, when we get back to Scarsdale, and so this is like I don't know, 3-hour flight or so. And when I tell you that this gorgeous looking couple with 3 children and tablets went from just like the envy of the world to the last half hour of the flight, all 3 kids melting down, hitting each other, going back and forth. And here's what happened, Ollie. One of the tablets died. And this is what's burned into my memory is we're on a plane. There's no chargers or anything really,
Yeah.
and the wife turning to the husband going, it's not working. He can't get it to start. And the husband just looks at her, goes like this. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And I say that to her sometimes. I'll just be like, what do you want me to do? Like it was the most like visceral, like encapsulates marriage and parenting. You're 20,000 feet in the air. You have your children screaming, crying, and sometimes when we're on a drive, leaving the city or whatever, we'll pass different towns or whatever, and we'll say, "You think they made it back to Scarsdale? Think they ever made it back?" I don't think they have any memory of us, but it was just one of those early like, oh, this is how it could be. Anyway, I hope they're doing well.
Yeah.
With their beautiful, beautiful family of 5.
Yeah, I mean, well, I hope you took a lot from that. There's only so much
I did.
know,
Don't have 3 children.
a sweater vest can do. Doesn't matter if you're partner of the firm. We all end up in the same place. And sometimes the script writes itself, Neil. What do you want me to do?
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 Like,
What do you want
let's
me to do?
go. Like, it's almost like the next step. Like, full on. She
Right.
punched him. Well, it's
It's like you go from this like kind of mumblecore film about marriage to like now we're in like a Dateline episode. Jesus, Ollie.
I was thinking more like just Roadhouse. Like, now we're just, like, here it comes. Like,
Oh my God.
maybe the Jake Gyllenhaal version. I think he's really turned
Okay,
into a
haven't seen
fantastic
either.
leading man.
Um,
Oh, well, you
I'll
gotta
have to
see.
look into it.
You gotta see the first one for Ben Gazzara. I mean, they don't build them like that anymore.
Well,
Honestly.
they could if they went to scientists in China. They could build it however they want.
Okay, that's the answer. Ben Gazzara. Merge me with Ben Gazzara. He kind of already looks like upper caste Indian anyways. He's got a little, Gazzara's probably Italian or something. He's got a little
Why?
flair
What
there.
is? I'm not familiar. What is your cast? Just
Oh.
at first glance.
You gotta be down low for me. I mean, here's the thing. I think, from what I understand, and it's very loose information, but one of the reasons Islam spread in India was for people of the lower caste who are like, sweet, so if we sign up for this, I don't have to spend, and my future generations have to spend living low. Like, so there's that thing. So I'm just going to assume that typically with the caste system, it's like, it's frankly based on pigmentation. You know what I mean? The darker you are, the lower caste you're in. But hey, I am. You probably know more about Hinduism than I do, to be honest. So I am far from an expert. I am probably as clueless as anyone else. As I don't know, pick anyone from the current administration. I'm gonna go with who's that one guy? Oh God, he's the Miller, Stephen Miller. Yeah, I would say Stephen Miller might know more about Hinduism than I do. So that's getting me out of any kind of like, how dare you? And I'm like, I don't know. Please educate me. I got reamed the other day, actually. Got a tough one. Got a tough IG ream the other day. Yeah, some people just had to get something off the chest. I was like, sorry. You want the whole deal. So it's kind of great because it's success. I had a barbecue video go up on the old YouTube, and a place like, does a dish that's very popular in Tex-Mex, and doing what I do, I'm like, oh my God, this is great. This is like the best Tex-Mex ever. It's kind of what I do. Kind of let's throw in some good foodie word terminology out there. But, like a lot of things, there's history, culture, and context behind it. And this person was upset because the person who made the food is not of Mexican Tejano background, if you will, which means, you're from Texas, but of Mexican, descent or whatever. And, yeah, I think what happens for some people is they feel the appropriation comes into play, which, I get that for sure. And, sometimes, people want to have their story told. So, had to take one for the team and say, hey, didn't mean to offend. Carnegie Sada, Tex-Mex dish. It's delicious, and they make it at places. And they infuse a little barbecue action. Amazing. But yeah, no, a guy sent me a video that was just like, oh well.
Yeah, it's a fascinating conversation in the food world and beyond. But I mean, certainly where we come from. Having worked in food, it's very interesting because it's like, you look at like the guy from Ivan Ramen,
Yeah.
white Jewish guy, who went to Japan, studied, learned, apprenticed, came back to New York, opened, some of the most acclaimed ramen spots. And it's like, can he do that? Well, yeah, he did, and
Yeah.
he learned the expertise. I mean, like, is he only allowed to make deli? I don't know. I don't have the answers.
Well,
I
that's
don't
the
know.
thing is, to be blunt, if you were to tell me, or anyone would say, hey, you're of African descent, why are you cooking Italian food? That's wrong. Anyone should be able to cook Italian food. I think what's funny is, or not funny, but there is also an extra narrative, and Italian American people can share this too, about when they were like looked down upon. I think what it is like a lot of the mistreatment that people go through, and then all of a sudden they have something that people love, but it's like, oh, you like the food, it's like a little phrase I caught back in the day, you love our food but you don't love us. And
It happens a lot in music and in film and in fashion. Oftentimes like black culture, is taken, stolen, and profited off of by people who maybe didn't create it, and it's an ongoing conversation with which we are not going to probably find any answers here
yeah,
today, but certainly worth thinking about. So, dads, think about it.
yeah. All we can do is listen to each other a little bit more. How about that? And don't forget to like and subscribe on my latest YouTube barbecue video. But let me tell you something. If you think I'm profiting, I got a long way to go before that happens. Cut to 3 months, viral sensation, and I'm like, I'm counting the dollars, counting the dollars. Well, try my best.
Hey, John has a question. John from Tampa, you ready?
Here we go. Yeah.
John from Tampa writes, Ollie, back in my day, the school lunchroom was like a mini stock exchange. Everyone traded anything and everything from their brown bag lunch. The highest value trade was this kid's fresh mozzarella prosciutto sandwich. His dad owned an Italian restaurant, and we all fought to trade our Gushers or Airheads or Cool Ranch Doritos for it. But I learned in the last few years this isn't happening anymore, at least not where I live. My son's school just serves the same rotation of processed meals every week, and the art of the lunchroom trade is basically extinct. Am I just being nostalgic, wanting to bring back this trading, or did we actually lose something special over the years? Any ideas on how to recreate that magic for my kid?
Okay, well, first of all, you clearly did have some magic if you had a prosciutto basil sandwich. Yeah, and the Gushers and stuff like that. I think whether it's that sandwich, Gushers, or whatever swill they're serving these days, lunch 5 days a week tends to lean on some sense of practicality, right? I'll say this though. Look, if we want to make the lunchroom trade great again, if we want to do that, make the lunch. I can't do. We'll have to use ChatGPT to figure out that acronym, but you're gonna ask yourself, are you willing to go the route of meal prep? Because you're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to have something ready to go in advance. You thought about it, possibly the idea on a Saturday, execute it on Sunday, so that as you get through the slug of Monday through Friday, you've got that thing that can go in the bag, and then there you go. I mean, yeah, the state of food in America is tricky, right? It's rough. It's like fast food's not cheap anymore. Dining out's never been more expensive. The grocery store is expensive. It's tough to find a W in all that stuff. I find it almost very perplexing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of the good old days seem to be gone a little bit, but I think the answer is in meal prep and just having that thing you can kind of drop in the box, put in the bag, Monday through Friday to reinstate that. But then you got to get everyone else on board. It just seems like, who's got, just no one's got the time. No one's got the time. These are tough times. You know what? I have a solution. And this is just something my kid's into, but I think, it's about convenience. You want to get in the cool packaged food, talking about the 90s Airheads and Gushers and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe some people have moved on from the quote packaged fun treats that, maybe we shouldn't be eating too often, if you will. And my kid loves this stuff. Things like wasabi peas, the seaweed snacks. Basically, you go to the Asian supermarkets and they have cool packaged food and stuff like that. That's where you can get really cool. I would seek greatness there, and that way you don't have to worry about, I had to, roast or buy expensive prosciutto or cook something in the slow cooker or something like that and put together food. You know what I mean? I think the best way to get the lunch trade in is to lean on our current era of an increasingly more diverse American palate, right? People are eating, I know our kids are eating stuff. How old was your kid when they started eating sushi? 2? I had to wait till college. So yeah, that's my strategy. Get yourself to a 99 Ranch if you have one of those, H Mart. Check out the packaged food section there. You might find something that won't, make your dentist rich. And we can get these trades back online.
Just trying to see what the Asian grocers are in Tampa, but we'll put it in the show notes.
Man, I felt like that was such a complete answer off the cuff that I could have been on I'll just say it, Fox News and Friends. Something where it's like kind of high stakes. I don't know. I don't think
Would you have been one of the Friends or the Fox?
I would have been the friend. I think MSNBC. I'm not too fight. I'm not that kind of guy. To be like, like I couldn't bring it.
Too much
like,
research, too much like you have to be credentialed. Fox and Friends, they'll put anyone on.
They'll take a POC on there who'll just kind of smile and nod.
Yeah.
It's been
Are they going to be okay with kind of talking about diverse foods, you think? I don't know.
yeah. I mean, well, as long as I let people know it's not normal. Now, guys, this is a little out of the box here, but just, if we want to just think about some of the more exotic foods from those faraway places, not from the center of our universe, which is, from the shores of California to the Carolinas, maybe we consider the Far East. I mean, if I set it up like that, they'll be like, yeah, okay, got it. I'm with you now. Because if I just came out and said, how about wasabi peas? They'll be like, whoa. First of all, that wasabi, can you spell that out? Can we put that on the screen? So yeah, that's my potential angle for getting on Fox and Friends is setting up wasabi peas in the right way. Yeah. Explaining myself a bit.
Maybe that's the scout listening, the booker for that show. Book
Yeah.
Ollie to talk about snacks.
If the Murdochs are watching, I'm looking for a television gig right now.
They've got a lot going on. They're all fighting with each other.
They're juggling a lot over there. I'm happy to make things easy by setting up wasabi peas in an easy way.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not divisive. Shouldn't be.
It's good.
It's a little spicy.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I'm just enough spice. Just like, oh, okay, let's try that out. Samosa.
Ollie, we're going to take one more very long question. So buckle up. This is from Davis in Evanston, Illinois. I almost said Illinois, but Illinois, I get it. I know the S is silent. Davis writes, "Hey, Ollie. I'm a 49-year-old guy out in the Midwest with 2 teenagers in the house. My mom passed away a few years ago. My dad lives on his own. He's a pretty gruff guy, classic strong, silent type. Doesn't like to talk about his feelings or his sadness since my mom died or any of his health issues, but it's clear he's struggling. We've been going over there every Sunday for an early dinner for the last couple of years to keep him company. My wife, me, and our 2 boys. The thing is, speaking of Fox News, my dad is a die-hard conservative from the old school, but he's falling deeper and deeper into the well of fake news and conspiracy theories, and it's resulted in him saying a lot of insensitive and at times just downright mean things. My kids are open-minded and have a lot of queer, gender-fluid friends. They march for progressive causes. They're figuring the world out themselves. When they hear their grandpa make off-color comments about immigrants or trans people, they often talk back. My dad says I'm too easy on these kids, and you should never talk back to your elders. But I'm pretty proud of the kids for staying true to their values. I really believe my dad isn't a bigot. Maybe because I don't want to see him that way. I also know he probably doesn't have a lot of time left on Earth, and I want to give him the benefit of family closeness, even if he doesn't deserve it. But I hate that every Sunday has now turned into a fight, or we're just white-knuckling through it, bracing for a fight, which makes the whole visit uncomfortable anyway. What's the move, Ollie? Help me out. I'm stuck between my kids and my dad. I need some advice. Thanks."
All right. Well, this is, I'm going to take an angle here. I'm going to pick a side because that's just how I see it. I think it's really important, especially given what I believe the ages of your kids are, that their perspective, their feelings are respected, right? And you have a dual obligation, certainly, to your dad and then to your kids too. And your kids will see your dad as grandpa, and there's a level, there's a distance there, it's like you're not the parent, you're the grandparent, you are a time, you represent an era before me, and I just don't think they need to always be along for the ride. I think you need to check in with your kids and need to explain how you are caught in between. But at the same time, at the end of the day, truth is years from now, your dad won't be there, and you'll be with your kids, your boys, sons, right? We said sons. Is that it? Sons. You'll be with your sons, and
Yeah, he says he's got two teenagers.
you'll
I
be,
don't know if he says they're both boys, but two teens.
with your kids, and you probably, they will, years from now, you'll be reflecting back on all this, I think. And I think it's important to take a position where you stand up for your kids, but at the same time, know and just say, hey, I want to be there for him. Because the truth is, too, is like, it's no fun getting old. It happens to all of us. And certainly there's something about age and not having a partner anymore that's gone that makes the road of aging a lot harder. And I had firsthand experience where I think, it's all everyone's different individual, but I feel like my dad had a lot of guardrails, and as he got older, the guardrails came off a bit. And, it sucked. There are things there that, I know I was like, yeah, he said that, and that sucked, and that was mean, and that was hurtful. And it's like, I can just say this: I don't want to put my kid through what I went through. I'm going to do my best, but getting old sucks. But I think you just got to be a little more protective of your kids. You can't just force them to come. Obviously, it sounds like you're at a situation where it's not going so good, and that's not really good for everybody. And, like I said, as you get older, it always gets more challenging, but at the same time, like, maybe not having your kids with them for a few dinners will make your dad kind of give pause a bit. And, it's like, yeah, they're your kids, not his kids. And it's a different era, and we're in the era now. And values change, by the way, too. So that's my kind of political take, too. Yeah, there were kind of considered norms before. There's new norms now. There's a challenge to all these norms, too. And I think, like, now more than ever, you want to be able to stand up for what you believe in. Stand up for your friggin' kids. So quit dragging them. Like, it doesn't sound like it's going good right now. And, maybe a little space, and maybe that'll kind of help your dad slow roll a little bit. But, I think, yeah, do you have to be there for your dad? Sure. But I don't think you should drag your kids into something that ultimately is going to create long-term trauma damage for them, too. Yeah. I went there, Neil. I went there.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it there on that serious note. Just remember that Ollie is having another child with who is it again from Roadhouse?
Oh, yeah, Ben Gazzara.
Ben Gazzara. And we'll leave it there.
Yeah, do your homework. Watch Ben Gazzara. Man, he did all these incredible, cool artsy movies in the 50s and 60s with oh man, I'm blanking. I must have to.
I don't think you're really excited about this new journey you're taking with Ben Gazzara. So I'm happy for you guys.
Actor, movies. Oh God, he's oh wow, all this stuff here. 1930 to 2012.
Oh, he's dead? I didn't know he's dead.
Yeah, look.
Oh, all right, you gotta pick someone else. Pick someone else for next week.
For the living? Yeah. Man, this is
we're not trying to make some sort of zombie Frankenstein child here.
I'm more into that version. That's just like Serpentor. Like, that's the thing. If we're going to really do something, I want to really, like I said, I don't want the happy hour menu. I want the whole thing.
I get it.
If I want pancakes, I want pancakes. If we're going this route, the best way to describe how I'd want to merge my genes with another man is saying that I want to have pancakes when I want. And that's just a non-negotiable.
Pancakes. We'll leave it there. Have a good week, Ollie.
I will. It's off to a great start. Oh, wait, it's ending.
Potato, potato.
Fair enough.
Oh, wait. Tell all the dads. Tell them.
Oh, hey, and don't forget, there's one thing you need to remember. You're doing great. Because you're the world's greatest dad. How could you not be doing great? I mean, some things, take the W when you can. You are a fantastic dad.